welcome back for another episode of Meet Me at MO2's. I have some special guests for you, but firstly I need to show off my auntie's outfit. This is my grandaunt's outfit. She's Jamaican, but you see we still love African clothes. And what I like is the older fabrics that you just can't get anymore. They don't make them like they used to. I hear myself saying, I sound like my grandmother. So I'll give you a 12. And I'd like to introduce the Man's Dem. Now, the Man's Dem is a group that's formulated to help me talk about how it used to be in the Gambia. And how it used to be in the Gambia is important to me because I'm here living in the Gambia now, and I'm always fascinated to hear how it was before I was here. So that's kind of pretty much the topic I want to cover today. So, without further ado, I'd like to introduce to you Henry is one of our guests. Henry, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Henry Owens. Now that we talk about it, I really like that outfit because it reminds me of my grandma as well. I'm an Akko, or what you call it, creole. And it's like the prints they used to wear.
Oh, look at that
print. Yeah, and it was special throughout the creoles in the Gambia.
Oh, really?
Every time you see somebody wear that, you know it's a creole.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm Henry Owens. I'm Gambian, but lived in the UK for 25 years. I'm finally back, you know.
Welcome back. Hear me telling him welcome back. Foreigner. So, guess our Man's Dem number 2.
Man's Dem number 2 is Abdul Rahman. I'm a returning Gambian as well. I was in the UK for about 50 years, and I returned to the Gambia in 2019, and I've been here ever since. I'm also I'm Okuma.
You're gonna have to say it with a louder voice, like how true warriors say, like the powder Aku things. You understand? Yeah. So thank you, Abdul. So also, I'd love to introduce Elon Sylvester. He's been with us. You can introduce yourself now. This is another king of the Man's Dem.
Yes. Well, my name is Elon Sylvester, and I am pretty much a recent transplant. I don't have Gambian roots, at least not recent. But I've been here now for a couple of months, so I'm getting settled. I'm not sure how much I can add to this conversation. However, I will do my best to keep up with the Akkus and
So I'd love to discuss the difference about the Akkus and the Aku Marabous. So I'd love to discuss tribal differences. We might feel a little bit left out, but we will learn today. I just want to say a big shout out to cousin, my sister Yvonne in Jamaica, Dean, Marlon, everybody, big up on herself, and all my aunties and grandparents and everyone who were there for the family. Big up guys. Henry, what differences are there? Or should I ask you, because I think we had that discussion already about the Aku Marabou. Or can you tell me a little bit of something about?
I think it's better coming from him. I can tell you, but because he's older than me,
okay,
he will understand it better than us.
Okay, I don't understand.
Okay, I'll do it. The only difference is religion.
Yeah, that's it.
What? Okay, so when you say religion, explain in detail.
You've got the Aku Marabous, either the ones who actually converted to Islam or Islamic. So we call it Akos, but we call it Marabou. Is it an Aku term? But Marabou is somebody that
it's like a wise man.
Wise man. But then it's got an Islamic connotation.
Yes.
For us, Marabou is occultic. I understand Marabou to be black magic.
So
that's what
similar to that. So the Marabou that they're people that you could go to for they're soothsayers and they will actually see into the future. They will make you some concoction or some amulets and stuff like that. And usually that is associated with Islam or the Muslims.
Oh, that's interesting.
So that's why
That's new. That's new.
Akamara. So you got the Akos who are Christian, and then you got the Akamara who are Muslims.
Okay, thank you for clearing that up.
I think you need to clarify what is the Aku. You can ask the difference here, but what made you an Aku? Is that an
Where does it, the origins of
ancestral tribe? Because my understanding of it is that it's some people who return from having the transatlantic experience.
That's also my understanding, and
That is exactly what it is.
apparently mostly from Sierra Leone and Freetown. This is my understanding, correct me. So my understanding is Freetown was established as a result of that trade returnees. And that was in the 1800s, and I even heard that when the word got back to Sierra Leone, there were slaves still there that were living free in the Africans, not slaves, forgive me. There were Africans living in Sierra Leone. They were living out on the mountains away from everything. They heard that now, it's been abolished, but they didn't believe, and they thought they were coming back again, and they jumped off cliffs to avoid slavery again. And Akus came from, or derived from, Freetown, from my understanding. So there's a lot of Akus who speak broken military.
Creole or Pigeon,
Yeah. So I feel that there's a connection with Akus, because when I get upset, I tend to switch back to patois. And I remember in my first restaurant, I was speaking patois when I get a bit irritated, and no one understood me. Whereas there was this one Aku who understood everything I said. And that's where I started to investigate the very idea of how, the differences. And I said, I was asking her, I would say nyam, and she would say to eat. So she was the one who was able to identify the similarities.
There is a lot of mixed blood within the Akus. So I'll tell you one thing. The names will tell you, because the names are all English names. Owens, Macaulays, Johnson, Crooks, exactly, Crooks.
Johnson for an African.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the reason why. However, However, you do get old ones in there, especially the first names are all mainly Yoruba names. Bankole, Banjobo, Abimbola, and all that.
Abimbola sounds Nigerian.
Nigeria, exactly. This is what I've got. So there is a lot of mixture within the Aku. I don't call it tribe, but the Aku
Culture.
Because we are not a tribe.
What do you mean? Are you not?
Descendants of free slaves.
Ooh, maybe that's where the
So
connection.
then what
So
it
you
is
are
is that
warriors.
it's a commonality. It's not necessarily a tribe that has a common
It's
origin.
made of all the kind of like the slaves that were taken away, so they're all from different tribes, but once they were in the plantations and all that stuff.
So it's a common cultural experience that they had.
So it's not a tribe like you would call the Mandinkas or the Wolof.
Not a blood
You have
tribe,
a language,
a cultural
though.
tribe.
You speak broken
English.
which is bits of everything.
Yeah.
Yes.
Bits of everything, but it was mainly broken English.
It's funny, you say Pidgin English, Creole, you've got French Creole, there's all these different types of Pidgin and broken English. And it's funny, Africans that were taken to Brazil used dance to deceive and that was capoeira.
Yeah.
Because they weren't allowed to speak, because the slave owners had realized that they were communicating, so they said you can't, they tried to demonize that. So then they developed another way through music and dance. Well, the drums were always a key feature for communication.
I'll give another example as well with the apples. You will find, especially with the fair complexion apples, my paternal grandma is very fair.
That's like the Fullers, aren't the Fullers usually quite fancy?
Because they were mixed. Some of them are mixed with the Portuguese. The first Portuguese were the first settlers before.
Oh.
Yeah.
So where do the Fulanese come from? Because they're travellers.
My understanding is that they're very nomadic.
They are. I think they're from the Sahel, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, the Sahel.
Yeah.
Therefore, they have a kind of mix of the Arabs, a lot. Of course, some white settlers and stuff like that.
Weren't they the ones that were cattle
Yeah,
herders?
Yeah.
So they would travel.
Yeah.
And that's probably how they got that mix.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
So the thing with me is that because I left here at such a young age, it's hard for me to know exactly how things were or things were. Because I was only 13 when I left this country to go to the UK. And so by that age, all I was worrying about is can I be in a football team or
Go on, Chelsea.
can I run or can I do whatever?
Yeah.
To me, trying to find out about my own roots at that time wasn't really sort of prominent in my head. And then when I did go to the UK, all I did was I just went to assimilate with everybody.
As you do.
As you do. I didn't want to be the odd one with the odd accent, which is what they used to take it.
The Mickey. Proverbial.
Yes, really. So in that sense, but I was glad for that anyway, because in the end, it made me stronger. Because then I was able to use, because I used to fight so much that I got fed up of fighting. So in the end, I had to use my mouth in any situation to get myself out. So it learned me to be able to just sort of talk my way out of trouble, basically, or just rebut them with whatever answer I give them. Because they're one of the favourite, because I used to remember, because I grew up amongst Jamaicans, they never used to like Africans.
No, it's true. There was a lot of that.
They never used to like Africans, because I mean, they used to be, because there was so much tales told about Africans that it was unbelievable. Because a lot of Jamaicans didn't want to get involved with Africans.
Even in the early noughties?
Yeah.
In London?
Yeah.
Brixton and all that?
Yeah, because all that was said was that, oh, you don't want to get involved with an African, because when you have a child with an African, they're going to send it back to Africa. You end up with that, you end up with that with your child.
Funny you should say that.
Yeah, all of that kind of stuff.
There has been a lot of that in my family. Yeah. It's really sad.
Yeah.
So you were saying, Abdul, about your experience in England, that you I think we've all experienced that. No matter where we go, we're pretty much displaced people, aren't we? Because me, in England, didn't feel happy. You, as a Gambian, went to UK, didn't feel happy. I don't know what your experience was.
If I had the means to come back home, I would have come back home. Especially the day I got told by somebody, I was one of my first jobs in Waterloo Station was at Burger King, selling burgers. And then somebody, a white homeless guy, looked at me and said, "Go back home to where you come from."
Oh, that's a famous saying.
Yeah, for me, it was new. I've never experienced
it doesn't sound aggressive the way you said it. Well,
no, but he was aggressive.
Oh, right, okay.
And I went home. I remember going home and I said, if I had the means to go back home.
And that was what, when in the 80s, 90s?
No, this was in the early, it was in 2000.
Just the other day?
Absolutely, just 2000, yeah.
Sorry. It still goes on, it still exists.
Yeah.
We like to pretend that it doesn't exist, but in the UK, as many of us don't realise, it's micro-aggressions, and you can't prove racism in England because it's all in the mind. It's your experience and feeling. So to prove it in court is a bit difficult, but I'd love to hear about your experience as a Caribbean working in America, in a country that's not your own.
Yeah, the experience is the same. It's very, very similar. America have a tendency to be a little more, descriptive. I mean, you could identify racism, though a lot of times it's not easy to prosecute it, right? But you can identify it. You can know it when you see it, and you could tell someone, see that conduct, that's racist conduct, that's racist behavior, right? Because the history of America is different to England. England is very overt, very covert.
Yes.
America have a tendency to be a little more overt, yes. A little more open with it. When somebody is racist, you can see it. And you get that, it comes out in their conduct. You go into a store, they follow you around, they look down and kind of, so the experience has been as such that you're never totally comfortable. it doesn't matter how much you achieve, how much school you've gone to, how many degrees you've gotten, right? How much ability you have to be able to excel and to really stand above the crowd. Somebody other you always consider to be a little less.
Thank you, Sally.
In other words, the best of you is worse than the worst of us. Kind of attitude. So you always have to be evaluated a little bit less. And sometimes you can remember some of the experiences. I remember one particular occasion where we were making symbols, because what I used to be at that time is working in the topographical engineering department, and we were just starting to do AutoCAD. Back in the days it was called AutoTrue, one of the oldest CAD systems. But our drawings were so huge, the megapixels that they used were so large that they had to find a way to cut it down. And everybody was trying to find a way to cut down the symbols. So I found a way to cut down one of the symbols, a symbol for a tree. Right? I cut down that symbol to 11 pixels. Wow. When there was a Russian guy who made a nice one, but it was using 305 pixels. But some of the other, they could never accept my symbol.
Even though it was better.
It was way better, they wouldn't accept it. So what they did is they put both.
Yeah, you're not allowed to win.
You're not allowed to win. So that's how it manifests itself. You see, so some of the other you would never ever feel totally comfortable. But at the same time you have to understand that you have to take people as individuals some other times. The system is what the system is. But individuals, you find individuals that transcend the system and have conduct and behavior that you can embrace and that you can have a relationship with.
Well, that's how we get through and we live through and pass with, it's just a question of, enjoying that.
Yeah. I was going to say something. I don't know whether you've seen this. There's a South African comedian that actually put it better.
Who's that, Trevor Noah?
No, not Trevor Noah. He's got a South African name, as in a Zulu name.
Oh, sorry.
And he said the racism in England was very subtle. Whereas in South Africa, black is black, white is white.
You know where you stand.
You know where you stand. And I think in America it's similar. It's something similar. Or in England, it's cold.
They hide it.
Oh man, I tell you what. even having done 22 years in the army as well, you see somebody will come to you and say, "Yo, mate, you don't." It's like it's that. Yeah. But you're good now. You're alright.
What's that saying?
You're different to that.
No, there's a saying.
Yeah.
What was that? Stay back. Black. White. You're alright.
If you're white, you're alright. If you're brown, stick around. If you're black, you're black.
Yes. And it's so much of a known saying that we've got a tagline for it. Imagine that. Thank you, Sally. That it's accepted, and then we had the token gestures, didn't we? And you're the token Negro or the house.
I used to be the token Negro.
Was you a token? You was a pretender. I think you infiltrated that house, and you pretended, and you was a spy, really.
No, because of the trade I was in the decorating trade. But then I used to work at the high end of the decorating trade.
Bespoke, what?
Yes, all that kind of shit. Rag road and all this kind of stuff.
Oh, that proper, yes.
Densleys and marbling.
Yeah, I remember all of that. That was a
truck toilet feet. I never saw that kind of stuff. All I was just like saying, just a good finish. So I used to just do a good finish. So in my case, there was no way I could break into that until I was introduced into it. Because many times I've tried to get work in that kind of field.
It's like a closed industry, isn't it?
It's like a closed shop.
Yeah, like an all-white club. So there's certain things or jobs our men couldn't go for simply because the white industry were afraid of him on so many levels. And I personally have family members who have shared some horrific stories of discrimination, and they still transcend and are doing well. But I can understand now why they're afraid of you, because I actually worked in an accounts department once, and they were all white folks, and one or two black women, and more black women entered central government and things like this, and black men were not there in the accounts departments, and we found that when there was one, as young as he was very smart, clever, when he got the job. And they were always sort of trying to mock him and trying to challenge him all the time, and he had to be on the defense. And you could see he was a very good build in his shirt and what have you, which is very much like a cousin of mine, you know, all the stories here. And the racism that they've had to take them to court. Many of us have taken institutions to court because of the unfair practices. But I think the trick is not to go for racism, is to go for the disparities and being treated differently. You can prove that. Yeah, and then you have to be able to prove that you are treating this person differently from.
It's interesting you say that, because so the institution where I work from, we strive ourselves for inclusivity. You know, because we're one of the most diverse employers in the United Kingdom, which is the British Armed Forces. However,
were they really?
Yeah, but this is what I'm coming to, and it was interesting because me being in the army, I was like not limited to a certain type of infantry. They stay in one place for so I was an administrator in HR. So I move every 2 or 3 years, and because I move every 3 or 4 years, you do see that, and it's something that we say the black people or the minority groups in the army would always say. Every time we get assigned somewhere, we have to prove ourselves.
Stick you in the front line or
from
something?
start? We have to prove ourselves from start. Yeah, it was quite demoralizing, and but like every Brazilian black guy in England,
and still you rise.
Just absolutely. I remember when I commissioned, because I commissioned as a sergeant, as an officer into the British Army. I remember when the results came out, I got a call from a guy from Grenada, and he called me and said, "Congratulations, Henry." I said, "Oh, thank you very much." And he says, "I never knew the system works."
Really?
That was interesting. Yeah, I never knew the system worked. But for me, it was one of those things where I've opened up doors for black people to think they can actually commission it.
Well done, you. And can I salute you? Because we respect the kings. You know, corporal.
Yeah.
What did you say? What was your ranking?
Oh, I retired as a major. Yeah.
Much respect to you, sir. So it was interesting. We've gone from tribal to traveling around Africa. I'd like to mention here in Gambia, there's how many tribes do you think there are here in Gambia? Behave. No, there's so much more. It's more like 80. No, not quite.
No, I think we're one of the nations that got the least amount of tribes.
Least?
I think some have come.
I was shocked. I know a lot of them, some of them may have come from other parts of Africa to come to the Gambia.
And settled, and married.
But still, there's a lot of... Listen, I was surprised to know that different tribes.
There's a lot, yeah.
There's a lot.
Maybe our subscribers can inform us. Go into the comments and please tell us, because we're all learning together.
Yeah.
I'd love to find out.
Our name, of course, we have my painted wall off. One child, full of
Makajaji, Serahuli, Sere.
He already said
Sorry. You said Manjago.
Carolinko.
Yes, how could I forget? Jola.
He said Jola.
But you know Jola is Carolinko.
The Bambara.
That's from Mali though, aren't they? The Bambaras are from Mali.
But they're here as well.
But they're here. Tell me a little bit about the Bambara.
I don't know a great deal.
Okay, I know that the Bambaras come from Mali.
Okay. I think they come from this the Mali Empire.
Mansa Musa. Wonderful.
Yeah,
I think this man can help us with some of that. Like Mansa Musa who travelled all the way through Africa and destabilized the economy through giving away gold.
He went
didn't
for
he?
his Hajj, right? He was a king. In fact, he's reputed to be the wealthiest man who ever existed on this planet.
Even to date.
Yeah, even today. Yeah, I mean, Dangote is nothing.
Elon Musk run
You
thing.
forget Elon Musk because this guy was so wealthy, according to his history, that when he made that trip to Mecca, right, you know, as a king, going from you know, from one domain to the next, you have to give some kind of dowry, some kind of payment, you know, so that it will give you free passage. Especially that you had to bring an army with you.
Yeah.
You have a whole entourage because you're carrying all this gold and stuff like that. The highway robbers were out there. So as a result, he had to have literally an army. So for you to march your army over somebody's territory, that could be considered to be an invasion. So you had to pay this sort of a dowry.
So I come to make nice.
Yeah.
It's what you.
Yeah, so you pay to get free passage so that they will allow you to go through with your little entourage. And he spent so much money on the way that it literally destabilized the economies of the countries. By the time he got there and he was on his way back, he ran out of money. You understand? So he had to borrow. But when he came, he was able to pay back because the vastness of the wealth and the gold that this guy had, right, in the Empire of Mali, it was amazing. That also caused the invasion of North Africa. Because when the Arabs
Heard about that.
they were like, let's go get that gold. You know, so that's how that was.